Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 5 of Raised by a Monster. This is your host, Jessica Hernandez. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. If you are joining just now into my podcast, Raised by a Monster, just a little introduction. I did start this podcast because I grew up with a narcissist mother who was very selfish and very abusive. Now that I'm growing up and became an adult, I talked with many people, and especially other women that have similar situations and experiences. And to be honest, mainly in therapy, processing everything, I've learned so much about not only myself, but about my mother and why she is the way she is, why she did the things that she did in the past. So I just want to make this podcast somewhere safe where not only people can come to talk about being raised by a narcissist, but even if you might listen to some of the episodes and it might resonate in a different way where, you might realize my uncle, my aunt, my coworker, my boss, my spouse is one that I've heard recently. Reach out to me. I say if you can follow me on any social media platforms, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Raised by a Monster podcast, and I will put the links in the show notes. So today's episode is something that I've been just wanting to discuss is if you have a feeling that you're dealing with a narcissist, you have one in your life, especially if it's a parent, I'm just going to give you some things to look out for. Because if you look into what qualifies for being an actual narcissist, because like I discussed previously, we all have narcissistic tendencies. We can all have certain tendencies of narcissism without being an actual full-blown narcissist. The actual diagnosis is called NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, which I feel after doing so much research into it, I'm like, this is my mother. But you might be dealing with someone that just has more of these tendencies than others. So there is, I think, for me, the number one thing to look for if you have a feeling you're dealing with a narcissist is to think about different times where they do not take accountability. This is the number one thing that I have seen is so hard, so difficult for a true narcissist to take any true accountability. And you got to be careful because sometimes they're very good at wording things to where you think they're taking accountability, but they're really not. Like an apology of, I'm really sorry that you took it that way. Instead of just saying, I'm sorry that I said that, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that you took it that way. So it sounds like they're apologizing and taking accountability, but it's not truly genuine. But most true narcissists won't even say that. They will turn it around on you every time. Because this goes back to, yes, narcissists will come off with huge egos. They have such entitlement. They think, they're all that in a bag of chips. But inside, they are truly very, very self-conscious and very insecure people. So for them, it's just very difficult to actually take accountability because for them, it's like the end of the world. If I say I messed up, then, I'm nothing. So I have to continue on with this. I did nothing wrong and you got to go along with it. So with that being said, I'll give you just the example of my mom back when I was graduating college, and she did not come to my ceremony because she claimed that I did not save her food from the night before and was yelling, screaming, calling me all kind of names. And when I showed her where I kept her food, I did save you food, it was still on her to push I'm still upset and I'm not going. And, at that time it was confusing, like, wait, why is she doing this? But now I realize she couldn't handle the attention, the spotlight being on me from graduating college. And so it's almost like they will have their hands bloody red and will still tell you, I didn't do it. And not only will they say they didn't do it, but they will deflect so hard. If you confront a narcissist and say, hey, you did this, you lied to me, not only will they deny it, but they will deflect. They're going to say, nope, I didn't do it. But you know what? You did this and you did that. And now you're thinking, oh, dang, I did do that. And now you're thinking I'm in the wrong. And instead of thinking this person's crazy, you're going to start thinking, oh, I'm wrong. Especially if they're very good at manipulation and treating people this way for so long. Instead of thinking they're crazy, you're going to start thinking you are crazy, and you will be so confused and thinking, am I crazy? Am I wrong? And I'm confused. And that's what they want. They want you to be confused because you're easier to control if you're confused. You're easier to control if you don't understand what's going on. So let me control you and your thoughts and deflect like heck. You're confronting a narcissist. Hey, you did something wrong. They are going to say, well, you did this. And maybe start crying, play the victim. They will, yes, deflect, point at you, point a finger, turn tables, anything to avoid any kind of accountability at all costs. It can be pretty dramatic. It can be a big show. I do remember, and still do, my mother is an actress. She can put on a show and she will play victim, and God forbid people are around. That just means she has an audience. So it's like, all right, let's put on the show. So victim mode and deflect. And now for some reason, this situation where they did something wrong, they hurt you, they lied to you. Now all of a sudden you're the bad guy. So my number one thing is this accountability. They really can't take it. And even if they kind of pretend or look like they're taking accountability, like the last minute they'll say something that just takes it right away. Like, oh, yes, I did do that, but I wouldn't have did it if you didn't do this. So they only messed up because of you. So now it's your fault. It's very much like a death to them to take accountability. The other main thing that I've noticed with narcissists is that they are really big on double standards. My therapist calls it double standard city is where narcissists live, which means they can do whatever they want to you and you have to take it, but you cannot do it to them. So it's very much, I can remember having some point in my life, maybe in my late 20s, where I did a little bit of no contact with my mother just because she was being very verbally and still physically trying to hit me, just very abusive. And I just kind of had to take a step back. Like, I can't keep doing this. And when I was actually pregnant with my son, I did stay away from her completely, because I did see her where she went and attacked and hit my sister when my sister was, I think, maybe 6 months pregnant. She didn't care. So I refused to be around my mother when I was pregnant. So I remember, no matter what, I would have to call her, come see her, bring her gifts for her birthday every year, no matter what. I mean, it has to be about everything about her, because that's her day. I mean, every day has to be about her, but especially this day. But my birthday would go by year after year, and I wouldn't get a phone call. I mean, no cards, no gifts, no nothing. I really, that's funny. There was plenty of years, my entire life, nothing was ever really done for me on my birthday by my mother. It was not expected. It was just normal. But like I said, I had to go above and beyond for her, but I wouldn't get a call on my birthday. And that's fine, but this is one year where I don't call her on her birthday because I'm going no contact. And let me tell you the voicemails I was getting, because I still wasn't answering. And I mean, getting called all kinds of names from her. And how dare you? That's another thing they liked. How dare you? I am your mother. And it's painful just knowing that that's just an example, but I can go on all day about narcissists will treat you very badly, but you cannot do any of these things to them. It's very wrong. They will get so upset if you dare to treat them the way they treat you. Double standards. They can do it. You cannot. Narcissists also are known for having a grandiose sense of self-importance. And at least that's what they put out there. I'm very important. I'm a big deal, and will list any and all accomplishments, and they will belittle anyone else's accomplishments. Like, oh, this person did this and that. Well, I did better. They're very, very big one-uppers. It's like, you did this, I gotta go bigger. You went here, I gotta go there for a longer time. It's just always the one-upping, and I gotta do it bigger and better. It's very, it's sad, really. Like, can't imagine, like, living this way of never really feeling fulfilled, never feeling okay and happy and settled. It's constantly needing more and more, and it just seems so miserable. And this is why I do have some sympathy for narcissism, because I can't imagine living this way where you're just never really happy, because you just need more, and you're constantly looking at what other people have and comparing yourself. And I mean, yeah, to an extent, we all do that. But narcissists, it's like they're obsessed with it. It's constant living. There is like no getting around it. And it's sad. I will say, I'm not sure if I've talked about this before, but from what I've researched, narcissists grow up in two different ways, really. They grow up with either the self-importance and not growing out of toddlerhood, really, because they grew up in a household where they got everything they wanted, and that's just what they're used to, and they never grow out of it. So they grow up into these adults that are still like toddlers and still demand things the way they want. And can't see anyone else's point of view. I'm wrong. I'm sorry, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm big, you're small. And they grow up just not really understanding other points of views and not caring, really. They grow up without that empathy of just not caring for others, not being able to take accountability, just because they were growing up in maybe with a household where there is a narcissist, where they just learn those actions from an adult. And those narcissists, I don't have so much sympathy for. What I do feel more sympathy for is a narcissist that grew up in really terrible childhoods and were very neglected. And those narcissists, they grow up with that same mentality of the grandiose and I'm important, but it's more coming from a place that was never important. So now that I'm an adult, I'm still very childish in my thinking because I need someone to tell me I'm important, someone to tell me I'm everything, because they didn't have it growing up. So, or they were just so neglected. And I have met a narcissist in my life that is that way. And he had a terrible childhood and was very neglected, went through a lot, and came out, just trying to conquer the world just to feel and look important. As far as parenting, narcissistic parents care more about looking like a great parent than actually being one. And that's why growing up, the children, tend to just not have a close relationship, truly like a real, genuine, close relationship with their parents, because the parents don't really care about that connection. They don't care about the real connection. They just care about looking like they have a connection and looking like they did a good job versus actually doing a good job of being a parent. So people with narcissistic personality disorder, they experience really intense feelings of self-doubt, emptiness, and they're very, very, very anxious about how they're perceived. So they care so much about how they look and how they come off that it can turn into this anxiety, but it's not really anxiety that typically it's based on like fear of being safe. So if you have this fear of being safe, that's pretty normal. And obviously some people have it higher than others, but narcissist is more the anxiety of am I coming off? Do I look okay? Do I look like I'm everything? Do I look like a good parent? That need for admiration, like they need someone to constantly tell them, like compliment them, like you're doing good, you look good, you are a good parent, and they will fish for compliments and have a lot of attention seeking behaviors. My mother did she took a lot of pictures, tons of pictures, and she had a video camera as well growing up. She was always recording. So some of those tapes, luckily, I still have. A lot of things were lost just from moving so much because we moved constantly. But I do have some of these tapes and I see these videos of my mother, and I mean, she's always got her makeup, her hair, and tight outfits and dancing in front of the camera, smiling and posing, all the pictures of her very posed, and she always had us posed very well. And it's like pictures of us with our hair done very nice, dressed cute. It's like you would think, looking at us, these children are taken care of very well because look at how they are dressed. Look at how they look. She pays attention to that, but nothing else. We looked like we were taken care of, but we were not being taken care of. It's interesting to me because, yeah, every time she was on the camera, it was all about her, lights on. It wasn't really like, I didn't see any videos of her like holding any of us and like being attached to us. And maybe they're out there, maybe they exist. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying I never saw them. It was very much, I don't think they exist, to be honest. But I don't talk about my dad much, but my biological father, the videos of him, he's holding us. He's just loving and kissing on the kids, me, my brother, and my sister. He's got video. When he has the camera, it's always on one of the children. It was very interesting to see that. Very different. I mean, he's not perfect in any, I'm not saying that. It's just so interesting because he's definitely not a narcissist. So it's just different seeing the opposites of an empath, someone very empathetic, and someone extremely narcissistic. And growing up with a mother like that, I'll just say that I don't have any pictures of me with my father, not one, as a child. And she would cut his face out of any pictures when they separated. It was like she didn't want us to talk about him. My brother was named after my father, and she tried, like, not officially changing his name, but she would tell us to call him something else his whole life. And that was hard for him too, growing up, just being told that your dad doesn't give a fuck about you. And, just thinking, why doesn't he want me? Why doesn't he love me? Why isn't he here? And he would try to call and wouldn't let us talk to him most of the time. And I do remember as a child just wanting to talk to him, wanting to see him. And it just, it was hard. She would not let that happen. It was very much about her and her feelings and her wants and her needs, and rarely about us. Narcissists are very unreasonable people. You can't really talk to them. It's very difficult to come to like a solution with them, almost impossible. If you know you're dealing with a narcissist, you tend to get to that point where it's like there's just no point in trying to argue or trying to get them to see your point, because they're just not going to. They're never going to see your point. It's very much this sense of entitlement where I am right at all times. They cannot really come to terms with them being wrong, even if it's straight up in their face that they're wrong. It's almost impossible for them to admit it. So if you feel like you're dealing with a narcissist, I mean, by now, if they have all of these, everything that I'm talking about, they probably are. Obviously, they would need to get diagnosed through someone like a therapist, family, behavior health. They would need to go to, but they wouldn't, because it's very rare for a narcissist to actually seek help. Someone with narcissistic tendencies, I have seen, want help and want to get better, want to learn and grow. So the sense of entitlement, I have also seen that narcissists are notorious for having like bad driving records. Like they just don't, it's like the road is theirs. They're very entitled and they don't think they have to follow the rules because I am me. Why do I need to follow the rules? And, I've seen narcissists. It's not everyone, because obviously there's narcissists that are not like this. But from what I've seen, there is a tendency for narcissists to be not good drivers or have like a bad driving record. It's just so interesting. And I did learn something very interesting too. When you're around people that are yawning and then you just start yawning, it's like so natural, and you'll tell people, don't yawn because now I'm yawning. And like narcissist, I'm not going to say that it's 100% foolproof thing, but if you yawn around one, they might not yawn because they just don't have that empathy that true empaths have, where you feel someone else's exhaustion and you hear that yawn and then you just naturally yawn. So if you think you're dealing with one, maybe you can try yawning and see what happens. I don't know. It's just something I heard and I was like, whoa, that is interesting. I should yawn around my mom. I'll let you guys know. We'll see. So this entitlement, the rules don't apply to them and they're very unreasonable. It's just like, you kind of just give up with people like this, to be honest. I will say my mother did not, that I know of, drink or do drugs growing up. It was just very much, she was flamboyant and wanted to be the center of attention at all times. Couldn't take accountability and did not put the children first. Very jealous of what other people have and would talk badly about other people just to feel better about herself. And that's one thing I've noticed. Just people that are a little bit more childish or narcissistic than others, they will talk very badly about other people in order to feel better about themselves. So even if you feel like, wow, that might be me sometimes, if you're thinking that, that is something that you can grow from. And that's just going to be a lot of work on yourself to feel better about where you are in your life and what you're doing, and to become more confident in yourself so that you can feel happy with yourself and have your own self-importance without having to talk badly about other people. I mean, you don't need to talk badly about other people to feel better about yourself. But narcissists, they do. They will make things up about other people just to feel better about themselves. It's sad. You don't ever want to call a narcissist a narcissist. Again, if you feel like you're dealing with someone that's a narcissist, number one thing to do is to not tell them. Because the first thing they're going to do is just say, nope, you are. They're going to turn it all around on you. And if they start doing research into it, they're going to use all of that gaslighting and turn it on you. So just don't do that. Reach out to me. We can talk, or do your research into it deeper, especially the type of relationship you're dealing with. Obviously, I'm speaking more of the parental narcissist, but if you are dealing with a different type of relationship, you might want to do a deep dive into that type of narcissist and the type of relationship you're in. I will give you guys a little update on my mother. Like I said, my mom has been very abusive my entire life, and she was very physically abusive and still is. So recently, she hasn't really put her hands on me in years, but when she gets to these certain moods, she does love to put her hands on people. And right now, since she's gotten the dementia diagnosis, her memory is getting worse. And I had to jump through a lot of hoops, talk to a lot of people, but I did get her into a nice assisted living facility near me. And the nurses there are incredible, and they keep me very updated, and she has her own little place, and I can get her groceries, get her whatever she needs, and visit. She has hit another resident that lives there twice, a man. And thank God this man did not press charges. There was another facility that she was staying at before this that she hit someone there, and I had to move her. It's a huge headache because they typically want to just put her in jail. They want to call the cops, put her in jail. And I'm like, please, please, please don't do that. She does not belong in jail. Send her to a facility, a mental facility, so they can correct her drugs, calm her down. Like I said, I'm the only one taking care of her right now because I'm the only one she will talk to. So it is very stressful trying to figure out what to do next. So as of 2 nights ago, I got a call that she hit one of the aides at the facility. So this woman that she hit, thank God, she says she's not pressing charges, but they will be sending my mom tomorrow to a facility to try to get maybe some new meds. And I'm just like, thank you so much. Please don't send her to jail. Even though I understand if they do. I mean, come on, like, you need to keep your hands to yourself. This is stuff that I'm teaching my kids. And it's hard because I can't say like this is something with a dementia because she's always been like this. So I'll keep you guys updated. It's, I don't know. We'll see. I'm praying. I appreciate any prayers just to help me get through this and know what to do next. And please, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm dealing with a narcissist, I'm here for you. Reach out to me. Let's talk. And another aspect, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I think I have some of these tendencies, just know that if you're thinking, oh my God, am I a narcissist? Most likely you aren't, because a true narcissist, they can't really fully reflect very well to think like, oh, do I do this? Do I do that? Why do I do this? It's hard for a true narcissist to really reflect that deeply. So I will say that just shows that you are not a narcissist. If you just think, okay, I have some of these tendencies, I want to grow, I want to be better, you can. And you just got to put the work in. The first step is realizing like, hey, I have some of these tendencies, I want to work on them. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. I do have so much more to say and discuss, and I've talked to a few different people that are giving me ideas of different things to talk about in the next following episodes. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope you found a lot of good information in this episode. Trust me, if you are dealing with a narcissist in your life, make sure you look up these terms of gray rocking and yellow rocking. The gray rocking is mainly just when you have to deal with a narcissist, is just remaining very bland, like a gray rock. It's just, do not give them your emotions. Because that's what they want. They want your emotions. They want to control you. They want to know that I can make you happy, sad, angry, all of it. Do not show your emotions to this person, because that's just giving them the narcissistic supply that they need. It's like they feed off of it, knowing that they can make you happy, mad, sad, all of the things. Gray rocking and then yellow rocking is similar to gray rocking. It's just a little bit more friendlier, which is, I think yellow rocking is like my thing. Because I'm such a people pleaser, the gray rocking is a little hard for me. I want to remain very unemotional. I'm not going to give you all of this attention and my emotions that you want, but I'm still going to be, polite and nice. So not that gray rocking is necessarily rude, but I mean, it's kind of like replying with one word answers. Yes, no, okay, no more, no less, or not responding at all. Does this deserve a response? No, it doesn't. So look up those terms, and if you really feel like you want to reach out just to talk about this, I'll put in the show notes where to reach me. Thank you again for being here, and we will see you next time.